What's up, friends, family, and fans? It is I, Stone Stafford, along with my ride or die partner, Mr.
I'm Johnny Vaughn. Hi.
And welcome to Life on Podcast. Y'all already know this is where we listen and inspire friends
Everywhere.
Today, we are going to talk about Juneteenth. So what's up, buddy?
Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy
What's up,
Juneteenth.
buddy?
We are so happy, y'all, because today is Juneteenth.
Today we celebrate. You know what we're celebrating on Juneteenth?
What are we celebrating on Juneteenth?
You don't know what we're celebrating?
I mean, I know what Juneteenth is.
What
You
is
made it
it?
sound like you were talking about something totally different.
I know. What is it?
Juneteenth is the day when slavery was officially ended. But there's kind of two parts to that.
I like to put it a different way.
What?
It's the day that the information about the Emancipation Proclamation was transmitted.
Exactly. That's why I said there were two parts.
Yeah.
Because when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, that so-called officially ended slavery. However, down in good old Galveston, they was being some hard beeps.
Yeah.
So we had to send, 2,000 Union troops down there and be like, yo, bro, y'all behind.
Y'all ain't about to ignore this.
So there's 250,000 slaves that were still enslaved in Galveston. So once the troops went down there, they finally went on and told them that y'all late. Did y'all know that?
They knew
that y'all's free. We's free, but massa don't be listening.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that happened a little afterwards. So that's when
1865 was the year. It happened.
1865.
This is my issue with Juneteenth. I'm going to get this out because I usually, when I'm having this conversation, because I'm salty about Juneteenth. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
It took
and it's 6 months late because January 1st is when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. Am I wrong or right?
Yeah. It's when we
so
actually
6
got
months later, 250,000 slaves finally were finally freed.
The problem I have with it is that it took quick math, 556 years for it to become a national holiday. Like, we didn't start observing it until, I think last year was the first year.
First year, when Biden
Officially.
signed the legislation.
Yeah. And the issue I have with it, and I'm just going to get it out in the beginning, and then we can talk about all the celebratory stuff about it and how big it is for the community and for us as a people. We continue to be an afterthought. And I feel like the length of time that it took to acknowledge it and to make it a federal holiday is a microcosm of the macrocosm of how Black people are continuously marginalized. Everyone else gets their holidays first. Everyone else gets their reparations first. Everyone else gets their new legislations pushed over first.
Right.
And then we get the carrot with the stick being held back here just in case. And
right.
I have a serious issue with that. I almost, not saying I'm not happy that we have it, but I put Juneteenth finally being recognized as a federal holiday in the same bucket that, was it 10 years ago when they first started talking about putting Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill?
Right.
That one has still not happened. And two, that currency may be phased out by the time it actually happens. We aren't prioritized. And then when we get what we're supposed to get, it's bundled into something else and it almost becomes an afterthought. Why is it the same day as Father's Day? I'm upset about that this year.
Oh yeah, sure is.
Yeah, I mean, for
it's kind of like the people out there that got a birthday on Christmas.
On Christmas. It's the same.
Moment of silence for people with birthdays on Christmas. Okay.
So this is the issue that I have. I want us to be able to celebrate it because we need to. It's that important that we cannot gloss over what it actually means to our people. But at the same time, I don't want us to forget how it was delivered to us, how long it took to be delivered to us in both instances. The actual date back in 1865, and then it finally making it to being recognized as a federal holiday. And then what was going on when it happened, because remember
like with George Floyd and all that.
I mean, it was on the back end of that stuff, but
right.
I mean, it was the Asian community stuff was going on at the same time too. True. And then, here, Black people, we can have June.
Oh, by the way,
yeah, and it's like there's so much more stuff that still needs to happen. I don't want us to be happy with the one date. I mean, it was the same thing when they deemed February Black History Month. Okay, great, we get a month.
Right.
I love. Oh my God, I'm off in a blank because I'm sleepy.
It's
The voice of God.
The voice. Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
That first of all, it is great when someone can say who's the voice of God and you just say Morgan Freeman, because there's been other voices of God.
There's been a bunch of them. He is the one. If you want somebody to narrate your life story, that's
Morgan Freeman.
But his take on Black History Month, I actually identify with and kind of internalize quite a bit. Like, I don't want a Black History Month because it's relegating us to a month.
Yeah, and
it's the shortest month.
American history is Black history.
Exactly. You cannot.
And that's the problem. That's the problem, because what you have to understand is that just because slavery was eradicated, racism was not.
Right.
So that's the first problem. Second is our country is scared to learn not just Black history, scared to learn its real history in full.
Yeah, and people are too comfortable with American mythology as opposed to actual
and that's why we have the whole problem with the whole CRT, critical race theory.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, the one side of that argument for people who are against it, I totally understand, because you get your kind of militant, pro-Black, almost anti-white folks in there trying to teach it in class. And unfortunately, it ruins it for everyone, because that is not the purpose.
Have we not had the same thing when we were teaching white history? I mean, I've had some very racist history professors.
Oh, no, of course. But I mean, it's the whole thing of like, just because.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do the whataboutism thing, but I'm just saying that has been prevalent throughout the teaching.
No, it has. And that's why now it's a problem for us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was a problem then, and it's a problem for us. So that's one reason why. And quite frankly, I'm upset about that as well. I did watch a video of a Black person doing it, and I was thoroughly embarrassed, and I was angry. I was like, you're so ruining what a beautiful cause is.
But
you know what I mean?
I think we need that though. Because it's the perfect opportunity for those of us who recognize it and are embarrassed by it to call that out.
You think we need what?
We need that person who's going to be the militant racist Black person
to
do it, so that so that we can show that one bad apple doesn't ruin the bunch, because that's what's been happening on the other side. When you got
the whole problem with the whole proving one bad apple doesn't prove the bunch, that's a hard sell. I mean, look what police officers go through.
It doesn't happen.
That's what I'm saying. It's a hard sell.
It doesn't happen. But that's what I'm saying. We need that. So, because I think.
How about we just not have it at all?
Well, I don't think you can avoid it. I do not.
Right, because people are going to be people.
Exactly.
But I still feel it's one of those things where the majority screams out louder than which is going to your point. So I get it. Yeah, I get it,
because you did it for me. Thank you.
Whatever. So that's the whole problem. But not only that, then you get people like Trump, trying to sit there and say, they're just trying to teach anti-white. So for the record, for the 7,500 people we do have, and the more that will come, and you guys are going to share this with family and friends, here's the official thing. CRT, critical race theory, is not anti-white. Period. Try to spin it any other way, and you are lying. Absolutely. It is not anti-white. In fact, it's arguably not even pro-Black. It's pro-facts. It's pro-American history is all it is.
Right.
And you have states like Mississippi, California, Texas, Georgia, who still, like, for example, let's go back to the Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay.
One of the reasons why they couldn't enact, or they couldn't ratify or finalize the 13th Amendment, which we'll talk about the loophole of that. One reason why they couldn't was because there were still slaves in Texas, right? Once the slaves got freed in Texas, then they were finally able to enact the 13th Amendment. Now, if you don't know what the 13th Amendment says, it basically says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime,
prison.
Whereas the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States. So basically, slavery and involuntary servitude cannot exist in the United States except for punishment for crime or any place subject to the United States jurisdiction. All right.
That was one of the greatest loopholes in America.
Yeah. So basically, it sounds like, hey, you can't have slavery in the United States. So what do? Who is disproportionately locked up? Black folk. And once you're behind bars, once you have been duly gone through the quote unquote process and you're convicted, 13th Amendment now does not apply to you. Right. And you have states, and this is where I was going with it, you have states like Mississippi, Georgia, California and Texas, where unpaid prison labor is still a thing.
Yeah.
Like they still come state-owned businesses, they lease out prison labor and they make a profit off of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's slavery. Yeah, a lot of people in prison want to work and earn anywhere from, 40 cents to $1 a day.
I didn't know it was that much. I've heard numbers as low as 22 cents up to
something like 5 cents an hour, some crap. Yeah. But it comes out to like $1 a day, which you can arguably say is slavery. But most prisoners, they want to take the jobs. But then there's plenty, though, that are involuntary, where they do work that they don't want to do, and it's perfectly legal. Especially now you're taking involuntary and you're leasing it out to companies. And granted, I have to say state-owned companies, where now you're leasing them and making a profit. That's still slavery. This is why people aren't satisfied with the 13th Amendment. So going back to what we were talking about with the whole critical race theory, see, all that's part of American history. But you won't learn that in class,
right?
And so that's the problem that we're having right now. To your point, you know what I mean. So just to remember that racism still exists, even though slavery, quote unquote, doesn't exist, at least the way it used to.
And it'll continue to. It'll continue to be diluted, I believe, over time. Because each generation is more open-minded than the last. So I think we'll start seeing more and more of a swell to doing what I said, want more people willing to stand up to that one individual who wants to teach it from the wrong angle. And then we'll start getting more people from the other side as well who see the error of the ways and will start gaining that courage to speak up for
we just need the old racists to die off.
Simply put, yeah. I mean, you hate to say it that way, but I mean that's actually how you grow new crops. You have to
exactly. We just slowly fade them out. Exactly. There was a 2020 investigation on the CBS News, and they examined how Black history is taught across the states, and they found that in 7 states in the school's curriculum, they don't mention slavery at all in their state standards.
Yeah.
And then there's 8 states that don't even mention the civil rights movement.
Right.
This is in their whole school curriculum. They don't even mention the civil rights movement. And then there's 2 states that specifically mention white supremacy. Only 2 states actually mention white supremacy. We have 50 states. Only 2 of them in American history classes mention white supremacy. Yeah. And then in 16 states, terms such as states' rights are used as a reason for the Civil War. The Civil War came about because of states' rights. And I'm sure somewhere there's been a student who's like, well, what were those states' rights, teacher?
Yeah.
Well, they were the rights of the states, Jimmy. Well, that's the answer.
And that's it. That's
when you like that white kid who stood up there, these people are here to learn, and you're just don't know. I love that. I love that kid, man. If y'all haven't seen that viral video, just Google student goes off on teacher about learning, and you'll see it. I love that kid.
Long Google.
Right. So, so this is the whole reason why we celebrate Juneteenth, because at the end of the day, most of America, they don't understand the Blacks' role in American history. And when you truly sit down and start listing the contributions of Blacks to America, I mean, it's mind blowing.
I mean, it's not even that; it's undeniable.
Yeah, it's undeniable.
What we have as a nation, the foundations of it don't exist without it.
And can I just bring it up to just the current age for the culture?
Yeah.
Let's remove rap music.
Yeah, you can do that.
You've lost half of your ads. You've lost half of your movie soundtracks. You've lost some of y'all's wedding playlists are shot. Excuse me, some of y'all bar mitzvah playlists are shot. I mean, and I'm just talking about rap music, right? But at the end of the day, that's culture. That's something that we brought in. You understand what I'm saying? And we use it in almost every aspect. So I don't know. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with that one.
No, I mean, but there's a reason for that, because rap music became prominent and it's most prevalent at the turn of the technological age. So access to it and understanding of where it came from and its effects on culture in general were instantly recognizable, as opposed to finding out who invented, the elevator or peanut butter.
Right.
You don't find that stuff unless you go to the library and look it up in a book in most instances.
Right.
So that I think that's the difference in that. Had those things happened at the turn of the technological age, they would have been as accessible as well, and not as easily.
That's a good point.
Easy to hide.
That's a good point. Now I'm gonna be super semantic though. But rap music appealed to the other side. I'm not trying to be divisive here, but rap music appealed to white people.
Be that teacher. That's what you're gonna do.
Right. But black people, I mean, rap music appealed to black people. I mean, to white people. And matter of fact, it was a white person who is the impetus in truly causing rap music to cross over. If you don't remember, I think it was African Bambaataa or DJ Kool Herc, one of the two. I think it was African Bambaataa. But either way, Blondie got them into Studio 54 in New York.
I've heard this story before.
And
I didn't know if it was true.
That was the first crossover. That's when rap left New York.
Okay.
Is when she got it played. She got them played in Studio 54, and people went nuts over this thing called hip hop.
Yeah.
And after that, it was a rap. And a matter of fact, on her album, that's she actually, I think she was the first person to put rap music on a non-black album. And what was it? Grandmaster Flash is who it was, because she goes, Flash is fast, Flash is cool, and that Blondie record. That was the first time a white person rapped on a record. Okay. And then after that, it just took off. So we've always been sexy and appealing and cool. We always have been. And that's not flossing. There's nothing to say. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this argument becomes circular because the facts are what they are, and you just have to keep repeating them, and people just don't want to hear them.
Well, the repetition is necessary. Because, I mean, bringing it back to Juneteenth, there's still so many of us who don't know what the date is. Who don't know.
Okay, you about to send me down that path? Go ahead.
Sorry,
it's not a bad path. At least I don't think it's a bad path.
I'm gonna send you down the path. I mean, I've run into a lot of people that the biggest fact that they remember about it is that it's one of the prominent reasons why we like red drink. You know, with a red Kool-Aid, because I mean it is like red Kool-Aid, red lemonade, red drink is like one of the that's a big thing of Juneteenth, and a lot of people don't know where it came from.
Granted, I liked it before I even knew Juneteenth was.
Did you know why? Did you know why though? It was just ingrained in the culture, but that's part of the reason why.
I didn't know that.
It's always been celebrated.
Why? Why red drink though?
And I don't.
And notice we never call it cherry.
No, it's red drink.
It's red drink, right?
You like red, and it might not be cherry. It might be strawberry. It might be watermelon.
Fruit punch.
It could be just fruit punch.
Usually it's fruit punch.
Yeah, but I mean, I've run into a lot of people where that's the only thing that they've associated.
We got to look that up. Why? So as I bring my point up, please Google that. Why? How is it that red drink is associated with Juneteenth? And if there's anything about blood, I don't want to hear it. So back to your point, you were saying.
Look this up before we did this.
Yeah, you probably should have. So you said that a lot of us don't even know when Juneteenth is, or even what Juneteenth is.
Not so much when. I mean, obviously you know when it is, but they don't know.
No, a lot of people don't.
Okay.
Seriously, a lot of people
don't. I haven't run into that, but the what is the big thing.
Yeah. So when and what, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing a podcast. Yes, I was cheating. I was stepping out, moonlighting. But I was doing a podcast. A good friend of mine, Lee Heisman. Shout out to his podcast, Shrimp Tank. It's a great podcast, especially if you're an entrepreneur. It's for entrepreneurs.
I'm not going to tell you what this was about.
But I was a co-host. That's all it was. I was a co-host. I wasn't a guest. I was a co-host. So we had Dr. Lakeisha Hallman on there. Okay. Now, you know Dr. Hallman, amazing woman. And I said it on, I hope I didn't embarrass her, but I just mentioned how beautiful her smile was on the, and I meant it. You know, beautiful woman, beautiful smile, but extremely intelligent. You know, brilliant woman. And for you guys, if, you know, you can Google her, but one of her main accomplishments is that she created the Village Marketplace, which is a place to help push Black-owned businesses and give them a spotlight and a showcase and a platform, you know, to grow and have business and sell their goods. But she also offers a whole, I think it's a 12-week educational proponent.
That's what I've learned about
proponent of it. Yeah, like doing your taxes right, how to hire the right people, how to market. So she's totally given an entire haven for Black businesses. Definitely look it up, Village Marketplace. So Dr. Hallman is, some people call her Dr. Key. She's known as Dr. Key, right? But I'm going to say Dr. Hallman. I'm going to keep it as respectful as possible for what I'm about to say. You know, obviously very pro-Black, you know what I mean? And again, not anti-white in the slightest, pro-Black. You just have to explain that to folks. Pro-Black doesn't mean anti-white. She's for her people, which is great. So we're on there talking, and And we were talking about just how racism just exists, in this country, and how it's built in to just the foundations, of this whole country, the criminal justice system, education system, the labor market, housing market, healthcare system. They're all laced with racism, in the laws, the regulations, the rules, the procedures, all of it are not in favor of black folk. All right. And really a lot of minorities in general, but for black folk. And so we were talking about that. And then I was bringing up the fact how, and this goes to my point of how you said we don't know a lot of times either when or what Juneteenth is. And you know me, and our platform here is accountability. And so I'm like, look, I understand these obstacles are intentionally designed against us. However, I'm of the mindset of there's still a lot we can do on our own that we don't do. And I went to use an analogy. I said, for example, I like fried chicken. Now, if blah, 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 now I'm looking at you, I'm surprised you didn't catch that right away.
Oh, I did, but I'm
and so as soon as it came out of my mouth,
mature that you led with that.
I was like, so look, for example,
I like soda too. How about some red drink with your fried chicken?
Right. So my point was, I was about to tell a story about how I went to KFC down on Cascade. All right, it's a predominantly black area.
It's the blackest
and I went
ever.
there, and I ordered some chicken, and they were like, "I'm sorry, sir. Not we're out of wings, not we're out of legs, breasts, or thighs. I'm sorry, sir. We're out of chicken." Now, you can look at this as a KFC issue, but it is not. It is a manager's issue. And my thing is, because the cards are stacked against us, we have to get it right. We have to get it right. And my thing is, things happen. We're out of wings today, sir. I can accept that. Sucks. Manager, do a better job in ordering. We're out of breasts, sir. Same thing. You're out of chicken. Chicken is literally in your name. Kentucky Fried Chicken. So anyway,
I want to allow this for the sake of your. That's a terrible story.
No, it's not. And this is the part that I really didn't get to, because the moment I said fried chicken, I was like, this was a horrible example to use given the context of what we're talking about. Yeah. But on that, she looked at me with such a look of disappointment in her eye. I mean, she was very pleasant and very cordial and professional and all that, but I saw into her soul.
Mr. Stone, you don't need to be this black.
She was looking at me as like I was Stephen Fletcher.
Yes.
Like for real. She was like, did they call you Uncle Stone or Uncle Tom? I'm trying to get it mixed up. So anyway, I cleared myself. Anyway, we were laughing or whatever. But the point being is that I just feel, and the reason why I wanted to explain that story was because that day, I had ran into 3 literal issues where, let's just say, the customer service, it was just horrible. Okay. And I just hated the fact that in each one of those situations, it was a black manager. Okay. And now, does that mean black managers are bad? No. Please don't put words in my mouth. However, it's like the way that I run Icon Studios. I stay on my people. I want garbage picked out of my parking lot. Some of it is ours, some of it isn't. But we take up the majority of this parking lot. So that parking lot is going to be associated with Icon Studios. Icon Studios is a black-owned business. So I don't want trash in my parking lot because it reflects Icon, which to me reflects a black-owned business. When you call, and people call here, hello, thank you for calling Icon Studios. This is Stone. How may I help you? Articulate. I want them to understand what you're saying and say your name. When they come in, how are you doing today? How may I help you? Customer service, top tier. That's what I fight for here. 1, just to make them better people, better versions of themselves, my staff. But 2, to run an excellent business. And what I shared after my whole goof all, and I was trying to clean everything up, and she was just side-eyeing me like I was like, you know what? You was all right when I first met you. I told her, I said, and I think I told you this before, there was a person who came in one day, and we don't allow smoking in our building. So, and I told him, I said, no, we're a non-smoking facility. He said, okay. And then, an intern came in and said, oh, but we have a patio. I can show you the patio. And they showed them the patio. Then they walked him to the room. Just great customer service that day. The guy left and said, all right, man, I'll be back. All right, man, I hope you had a good session. He said, yo, man, I'm going to tell you right now, Stone, you be running your joint like white folk. And immediately my heart got sad. Now, I understood what the dude meant. I understood you just meant I run a tight ship. I run a good business. So in that case, and I said, thanks, man. And I jokingly, I said, but why you gotta be like white folk though? And unfortunately, that's what he equates excellence with, white people. And
that was the intention.
Yeah. And that's kind of like a little personal mission Taj and I have here with Icon, is that excellence can be black. Excellence is excellent.
Excellence is black.
Well, excellence is black, but you can associate it with that. But I still even want to elevate higher than that, and just excellence is excellence. And I know we're not going to get to this, especially in our lifetime, where we totally take race out of everything. I understand that.
Common, but yeah, no.
But to my point with Dr. Key, I said, this is my issue with us. Yeah, these things are stacked against us, but there's a ton that is in our power. We have to get it starts with the mindset. Now, how do you get there? It's anywhere from the home to mentors to whatever. It's a plethora of reasons. And then there's plethora of reasons as to why the mindset is so hard to get. I understand all of that. It still starts with the mindset, period. You will have a hard time convincing me otherwise. And so when I'm saying that, she was like, yeah, but you got to have some grace. Now, I understood what she meant. Okay, you got to have some grace and understand that this is an uphill battle, da da da. But to me, if I think of it as, well, I can't get this, or I didn't get this business loan, or I didn't get that job, or whatever, because, and especially if the situation's obvious, because I'm black or whatever, even subconsciously, I feel like it can be used as an excuse or a crutch. And whereas, like with Johnny, back when you were super athletic and doing all your stuff, if you messed up, whatever, you didn't probably blame the weather. You didn't be like, well, it was raining today, that's why I didn't run my time. You were just like, dang it, I ain't do what I know Johnny can do. And Johnny looked within Johnny to make it happen. You wasn't like, even though the weather legitimately slowed you down, the muddy track, like legit, Johnny didn't blame it on the muddy track. Johnny didn't blame it on the muddy field. Johnny was like, that was not the kind of game Johnny can play. That's the mentality I'm talking about. So Dr. Key wasn't really feeling that. So she was more like, yeah, but you got to have a little bit more grace. And so I told her, I said, you and I are kindred spirits. And what I meant was, at the end of the day, we want what's best for black folk. I was like, we're kindred spirits. She goes, there's some areas, and I was like, she is so not feeling me right now.
There's a Malcolm and a Martin way to look at stuff.
And she said, but you know what? We need people with your point of view.
Yeah,
she said, we need people.
Very, very Martin-y is with a lot of your stuff. Very hopeful,
I'm very Martin-y?
Very optimistic, very...
How's that optimistic?
Well, I'm just saying, you look at it as, oh man, there's so much to unpack with what you just said.
But here, this is why I want us to celebrate Juneteenth the way Stone feels. I'm saying Stone is a correct way to celebrate it and truly take it for the value that it is. And Juneteenth, to me, should represent and cause us to reflect on just how great we are, just as individual black people and as a race and culture. Focus on the greatness. When you focus on the greatness, then only thing you ever focus on is being great. You don't even pay attention halfway to the things that are trying to thwart you from being great because you're so focused on being great.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with your outlook on stuff is very
black and white. No pun intended. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never been the type to. You can't focus on the greatness by ignoring the other stuff. You can't.
Thank you for saying that. And this is how people don't hear what you say; they hear what they interpret. I didn't say ignore.
You did, but
what did I say?
But no, but
what did I say?
No, I know to stop because this is the thing. And I've been trying to get people to understand this. I'm gonna use another example. Something just happened. Something just happened in a financial institution last week, and I'm gonna get back to everything I need to unpack what you just did.
Now we're getting juicy.
And everybody's talking about, oh, the markets crashed. Oh, the Fed did this, and I said, yeah, but what did they not do? What did they not say in the process? A lot of times it's what's not said that's the most important in the delivery. You do a whole lot of, I didn't say that. And it's right, you're right, you didn't. But it's what you didn't say that was what's important. When you say focus on the greatness, if we do that, all you're worried about is the greatness. You can't do that without.
But I didn't say that's not what I said, Johnny.
I know it's not what
Johnny,
you said.
Can you pause for a second?
No,
don't tell me to stop.
No, I can't.
Because you're literally not repeating what I say. I'm not saying I didn't say that, meaning out of it just wasn't there. I said don't. I addressed the bad things. You said you can't ignore them. I addressed the bad things. I said don't focus on the bad things. There's a difference between don't focus on something and ignore something. So that's my point. Go ahead.
I know your point. I'm using an overarching of how Stone macrocosm approaches stuff in general.
I don't see how that's a macrocosm.
You will positive a damn thing to damn death.
Which is a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, no,
but
it's not a bad thing. It's just diminutive. In my perspective, I'm as good as I am because I focus on what fucked up. Period. I look at what messed up, and then I can focus on, okay, what did I want to happen, and then I can correct it. In those instances that you were talking,
am I loud?
Yeah,
on your point,
you're loud.
Did you focus on what messed up?
Yes.
Or did you acknowledge what messed up?
Focus. You have to focus on it to break it down. I'm using that term unpack right now. If you acknowledge it and don't go through why that happened,
No, I get that part.
So it has to be a focus on it. Now, how you redirect that focus is very important.
That's where we're on the same page.
And that's what I'm getting to.
That's where we're on the same page.
There, but 9 times out of 10, you won't speak about the necessity to focus on it.
But you know why?
Why
I think I don't? I think that's human nature. I think it's human nature to kind of gravitate to the negative.
I'll agree with that.
That's why I don't focus on it. Because you know why? Whether I say it or not, you're going to do that. So I'm more focused on trying to get you to what's the word you just used? Redirect.
Yeah. Pivot.
That's my thing. You're going to do the negative part. So why am I preaching to you about something you're going to do anyway?
But see,
I just don't want you to get lost down that rabbit hole.
From my perspective, I think we coming to the whole, we have to.
Gosh, I wish Dr. Key was here. One, she would love you.
It's possible.
But go ahead.
No, my thing, the thing that I'm concerned with, and I mean, even me, I'm still educating myself on the whole everything with Juneteenth and how we celebrate it differently in different parts of the country. The why we celebrate it the way we do in different parts is because our experiences were different in different parts.
Facts.
Juneteenth means something very different to people in Galveston than it did to people in Chicago.
Facts.
Completely different experience. Why? The understanding of, and we talk about the why all the time. You have to focus on that to really understand it, and then you can pivot and redirect the focus on where we're going collectively for greatness. So that's why I can't just positive it all the way through. And I'm not going to say ignore again because I don't want to set you off. But
it's not true.
I'm just saying, I do think there has to be a focus on that negative aspect. You really have to shine a light on it, and you really have to turn the pages in that book to really digest it.
So again, it's semantics.
To be able to understand how and why you're moving the direction you're moving collectively for the greatness that you're talking about. That's me.
I will admit what I'm about to say is semantic.
Okay.
I'm admitting that up front.
All right.
So if I'm going to say focus on the bad stuff or the negative, I'm going to say in a complete phrase of focus to understand.
I'll take that.
Because you can't just focus and you get sucked down the rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you. Focus on the bad stuff, the negative stuff to understand. Why did it happen? Should it happen? How do I avoid it from happening again? Once you get that, boom. For example, when I get sick, right? I don't think you've ever heard me say I'm sick.
No, and I always think it's funny.
You've never heard me say I'm sick. No. Like even when I tore my tendon, right? They said, "Oh, what happened to you?" I said, "Oh, I tore my Achilles tendon. I mean, my patellar tendon." That was a fact.
Yeah.
They was like, "Oh man, so you hurt?" I'm like, "I'm overcoming. I'm healing."
It's so funny to me.
It is. So does that mean I'm ignoring what happened to me? No, but I choose to put because we know where you focus, your energy goes.
Sure.
So I'm like, I want my energy to go towards what I desire. I want my energy to go towards what I want. I don't want to spend any more energy than necessary on what I don't want. Sure. I don't walk around and be like, my knee ain't broke. Or you get a flu. I ain't sick. That's a lie. That's a lie. Oh, Stone, man, you sick? Nah, I'm overcoming a cold. Which means I have a cold. If I'm overcoming a cold, I have to then focus on understanding this cold, what needs to be done to get well, and do that. See, so like you said, I'm focused on the negative part to understand it. Once I got that, though, I move out of that neighborhood. Okay. Now I'm overcoming the cold. That's what I'm saying with black folks. Yes, the labor system is stacked against us. The rental system is stacked against us. The whole gerrymandering and all this crap is stacked against us. Learn what it is.
Yes.
Learn why they do it. Once you have that, Move out of that neighborhood.
Thank you for joining Johnny's TED Talk.
Move out of that neighborhood and focus on, in spite of gerrymandering,
yes,
I'm this. In spite of loan disparities, I'm going to this.
If you would,
that's what I mean.
You would see. That's the thing. The fact that you had to do that to say that's what I mean. If you would just do that,
yeah.
first.
And I'm such though, and that's my personality. I'm such an A to Z. Like,
yeah, no. But that's the thing. The world don't work that way. I wanna touch a couple things.
I need to send this clip maybe to Dr. Hallman so she can truly understand where I came from. I just feel so bad because I feel like I left with a bad first impression with her, and I respect her a lot.
Okay. That's okay.
It is okay because just like this morning, I'm sure matter of fact, I'll tell you guys, I put a post up and I probably offended some of you. And for that, I'm truly sorry.
No,
I meant to offend all of you. But go ahead.
This is what I want to touch. These are things that we've already passed in conversation, but I can't let this episode go without me touching on it. I want to go back to your chicken story.
Is this what's going to be known as Stone's chicken story?
No. It's minor points that are major oversights, I believe.
Okay.
I get what the point was, which is why in the moment I said, I'm going to allow you to share that story for the sake of the point you were making. Mm-hmm. But the thing that you were overlooking in that moment was it probably wasn't the manager's fault. I can almost guarantee you 100% it wasn't the manager's fault. I guarantee you the manager did their job. There literally was a supply chain breakdown.
Probably you're gonna say that. This granted, this story is over 10 years old.
But I mean,
this is over 10 years old.
In these moments, like when these supply chain breaks down, it doesn't matter what you do, how well all you can do is all you can do. But if the parts that you're depending on to complete their part,
I understand
don't meet you, and that's a lot of times.
And I wouldn't know that without giving him a fair benefit of the doubt, having a conversation like, why y'all out of chicken, and I get all of that. But let me ask you this question then. Let's keep it amongst the black community, right?
That's where I'm going.
Well, I was on a different. So finish your point because I was going to ask a different question.
Well, I want to ask the question to see if it's going.
Go for it.
No, you asked.
Well, I was going to say, why is it that even amongst us, it's a running, and it's a stereotype regardless. But even amongst us, we were like, it's black owned. We're like,
So
even amongst us, where does that come from?
Bullet points are right here, and I was going to get to why that is.
Great.
The underlying thread here is that when you do everything you can do to the best that you can, and it's right, it can still break down. And in a lot of cases, will still break down for us because of how the system is set up against us. Going to the point that you were making of there's things that we can do that we have to make sure we do right. We have a smaller margin of error.
Facts.
Than any demographic on this planet, period. You cannot ignore that. That is a fact of the system we're working against. So to answer that question of the why, my brother recommended a new tax person for us this year. We've been using the same tax person for all of our businesses and personal for the last 15 years, but he's aging out, getting ready to retire. So I said, no, I'm going to try this new person. Black-owned financial company. My brother swore by them. A couple other references swore by them. It's like, cool. Somebody who's really doing it for our people. Like, they focus on us.
Right.
They have financial literacy stuff for us. I'm like, I'm down with that. I'm going to support it. 2 weeks into the process, I find out that they're trying to look up my tax information through a device that's not capable of opening up all the documents that I sent them. So they're ill-equipped to handle the amount of stuff I brought to them. Cool. I'm still going to support. I help as much as I can to simplify what I have so that they can view what we need. Got them to that point. And then they go dark. This is where we screw up as a people. And me and my wife had a conversation last night about this. I got no response. I sent 4 emails, called 10 times because the deadline's coming up. Like, I need to file extensions. Like, what do we need to do? I finally get a message saying, yes, file an extension. We'll get it handled. That's the last message I ever got. I reached out to my brother and I said, hey, yo, your people like ghosted me. What's going on?
Right.
He reaches out to them. They reach back immediately to him. And then he gets a response. I'm not taking on any new clients until next year because I had to deal with something. And I'm like, well, one, you had already taken me on.
Right. I was going to say, what?
Like, I'm on. So
right. I
cool.
don't qualify for new clients.
I get new clients you're not taking on, but like you working on my stuff. And then it's, well, I'm not going to be able to complete anything else because of X, Y, Z. And I'm not going to go into details on what it was, but that's what it is. When it goes to the customer service standpoint you were talking about, that's not from a financial situation and my taxes, I don't need somebody to, one, ghost me, and then two, almost get me late penalty like crazy, because I've got, multiple contracts that I paid last year. So for every month I'm late, that late fee accounts for every single person I paid out last year. And I'm not, we're looking at thousands of dollars on top of whatever my other bill was going to be,
right, because
they decided not to communicate that they had a change in something. That's where we screw up. And I had 2 meetings yesterday. I'm doing a casting for a new project, which this new client of mine has been amazing. I love the project they're working on. I can't wait to talk about it on this. I can't yet because they haven't launched. But once it's kind of like last year. But once they do, it's going to be something that I think is going to be transformative for the community, because it's given us a platform to actually speak to power what's happening inside it. And they've actually got the backing to make change on it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. But they were overly impressed with not only the level of work that I did on the project, how quickly I did it blew them away, because they thought this was going to take months. I did it in 4 days.
Nice.
I got home last night. I was talking to my wife, and I was like, yep, this deal went great. It looks like there's going to be something else. I'm already talking to partners of theirs for future projects. And my wife is working on new deals as well. And I asked her, I was like, what is it? Because I brought the tax thing up, because I ended up begging our old tax, like, dude, just this year. I'll let you go. And he did it for us. And thankfully, he was able to fit us in late. But I was like, what is it with us? Like, are we the only 2 black people running our businesses to a standard that is exceptional? And I mean, I wasn't ignoring Icon, because I actually mentioned Icon.
No, it's all good.
But it's like there's so many of us that just want the title of business owner, that CEO or boss or whatever it is. We internalize that, and we allow that to be. We
don't want what comes with it, though.
And we don't push to the next level of what excellent business means. And I made a statement last night that I'm not even embarrassed for saying. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to just pay these white boys. I'm going to have to pay when it comes to my taxes, because this is the second time I have tried to support us when it comes to my money. And when you mess that up, bro, I can't trust you when you mess up my money.
And the thing is, to be clear, we both know it's not a white or black thing.
It's not.
We know that. But what happens is now you get into an issue where you look back at history and where you've had a consistent level of performance. And if the commonality comes down to race, then you tend to judge it by that.
It builds a subconscious prejudice.
Right.
And I'm very conscious of the fact that it's doing that. And yes, I am consciously making a decision that I'm going to just pay the $3,000 to get somebody to do my stuff now.
Right.
Because I know that when I do that, they're going to do it. It's probably going to get done early, and I'm probably going to get the $3K back, more than likely, as opposed to somebody ghosting me and then having to go through back channels to find out what actually happening and never getting a response from the person. Yeah. And it's not just the tax business that's happened with. I've tried to support black graphics designers, black web designers, and very rarely does the first person that gets recommended to me live up to the standard I need them to, because all my clients aren't black. So when you're coming through me and you screw me, now I, a black person, am perpetuating that same perception to my clients who are not.
And this is where we need to get, as a matter of fact, this would be the perfect thing to get a Dr. Hallman in on, because remember I talked a while ago, I said I want to do a podcast called The Rebranding of Black America.
Yeah, and that's been on
this is exactly what we're talking about, the rebranding. And we have to rebrand. I mean, these jokes, these stereotype jokes don't come out of the blue because someone's just trying to be funny. No. There's a certain trend that happens consistently enough.
More importantly, there's truth behind every joke.
Yeah, there's truth behind every joke to qualify it. CP time. Everybody knows what CPT time is. I had never heard of WP time. WPT. I've never heard of white people time. No. I've only heard of colored people time. Why do we even have that? Right. Because certain things have happened enough with us to earn that idiom or whatever you want to call it.
And we made it okay because
we've normalized it.
Then we key it off.
Yeah, we got CP time like this.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I know. You say, oh, you're on the way, so you haven't left the house yet. Like that's become ingrained in that. And then to backtrack it too, we also perpetuate it by giving grace or giving leniency to non-people of color when these things happen. Oh, that's Tim. That's Tom. He's never late. But I mean, it's okay. No, you point that out.
So funny you should say that. I was late this morning. I was supposed to be here at 8:30. I got here at 8:34. And the reason why, because I looked at my phone as I pulled in. But why did I do that? Because I'm rarely late. I hate being late. So when we're saying this, it's not that black people can't be late. Black people can't mess up. Black people can't have a bad customer service day. We're not saying that. That just shouldn't be your norm.
It shouldn't be the norm.
That should be the exception and not the rule. That's where I'm coming from. And to me, that comes down to a mindset and a mentality. Yeah. Now, how do you escape the whole race thing? You know, Stone, I like to simplify things as much as I can, right?
See what you can.
See if I did a good job simplifying this. How about don't worry about being a black culture thing, black thing. Just be the best version of you can possibly be as an individual. Yeah. Now, if every black person just happened to be focused on being the best version of themselves, guess what? We end up having an excellent black community.
All boats ride with the tide. Yeah.
So start there. Don't worry about doing it for the culture. Don't worry about doing it. I want to have a good black business. No.
Do it for the you.
Do it for the you.
Yeah.
I love that. Do it for that's a t-shirt.
Yeah. Boom. T-shirt.
Do it for the you.
Do it for the you.
And that's how we'll get over that thing.
Yeah, I like that 100%. Going back to just kind of bottling up, because I mean these conversations, the whole thing about Juneteenth, the threads underneath it are so much more than just our emancipation. It's who we will become a century from now, 2 centuries from now, and we made leaps and bounds and strides in it. But it's that whole thing, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Like we're going to be under that microscope for a very long time, and we have to be mindful that even when you're doing it for the you, those occasions where you do mess up, the way you recover is going to reflect on all of us too.
Sure.
That's going to continue. So going back to us, just celebrating us as a people, drink your red Kool-Aid, because I'm sure going to do it.
Heck
Please
yeah.
believe. I'm going to slip some orange soda in there too, but it's going to be red today.
Heck yeah. Then I'll take a cleanse afterwards. But
yeah, I mean, what I want us to start doing when it comes to Juneteenth, and it's a small thing. I want us to start giving us the grace that we give other people when they mess up, because I'm still trying to do that, even though I've been burned numerous times. But I have to remember that it's not all of us.
Right.
I'm fishing in the wrong pond.
And how about this then, to Dr. Key's point, and I hate that I couldn't think of this at that time. Let other people give you that grace.
Yeah, sure.
Don't give yourself that grace, because when you give yourself that grace, to me, I redefine that as you're grading yourself on a curve.
Okay.
That's where I feel that's where she and I kind of went different ways. I'm all for grace. Yep. I mean, I wouldn't be here if not for the grace of who I believe in, of my creator, right? So I'm all for grace, and I'm all for giving grace. But when we give ourselves that grace, and even that has to be said with balance, right? Because it's not like you don't want to beat yourself down, and all that kind of stuff. So we're still, everything that's said has to be balanced, but you just have to be careful that you're not giving yourself so much grace that you're now creating excuses and you're grading yourself on a curve. That is the heart of what I'm saying.
And I get that all the way. That goes into the second part of what I think. It's a 2-part thing that I think we need to do when it comes to just our date. And I think Juneteenth should be our reset date as a culture, to evaluate what we've done individually and what we've done together to raise those boats with the tide. While we're doing that grace giving, those statements like, man, you run this business like those white folks, like that thing right there, we need to give that to us as well. If that standard is subconsciously what we're giving to everybody else, we need to start applying that standard to us.
Right.
And let Juneteenth be the date that you reset your standard to that, and take it away from being oh man, we're doing this like white folks, so you're talking white. All of that stuff needs to become, this is a part of black culture too, because it is.
Right.
This is gonna be the most racist thing y'all heard Johnny ever say.
Say it in the mic so they can hear loud and clear.
They didn't get that on their own. They got all of that from us. Now, if we're going to allow them to appropriate what they got from us, and then we're going to allow them to stamp that as theirs, then we've given up. It's time for us to reappropriate what we created, period, for us, and start using that mentality for us. Give ourselves the grace, but also give ourselves the standards as well, because those are our standards.
Yep.
That's period. That's what I think Juneteenth should be. That's how I look at it. And as I've been getting deeper over the last 10 years into what it really is, because I'm not going to say I knew about Juneteenth before my 20s. I didn't. I found out about Juneteenth when I was 22 years old.
You knew about it before I did.
And that's exactly. But the thing is, now we know. And now that we know everything that we need to apply to make the date mean something, because it's going to continue to be marginalized. I mean, this ain't gonna be the last time it falls.
Sure. I mean, probably won't see it in our lifetime.
Yeah, but
as a wise man once said, though, now you know, and knowing's half the battle.
You can't.
It's true.
I don't have anything to say.
Yo, it's a great conversation. Perfect person to have it with. Well, shoot, I'm sure we said some things you guys agree and disagree with. Some of y'all are falling off on your comments. We want to hear those again. So obviously put it on YouTube or Instagram or whatever you see this podcast episode. We want to hear what y'all think about, everything that we were saying. And look, we're not scared. We already told you guys, man, just be honest with us, shoot us between the eyes, whatever. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, as always, hit that like button.
Yep.
Hit the little bell if you're watching on YouTube, man, to get those reminders when these things come out. Typically, they're every Monday normally, but today was a special date for us. But like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. That's one of the best things you guys can do for us if you appreciate what we do here. If you don't, kick rocks. But if you want to follow me on social media, you can do that at Stone letter O 7 on Instagram, or I'm Stone 007 on Twitter. And of course, you can always go to lifeonpodcast.com, and that's where you can go to any and everything from that platform. Where can they find you, Johnny?
Just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONYVAN on all of your platforms. If you didn't know about this website, it's Juneteenth ATL. If you are here in the city, I've done a couple of events already. This is the last day, of course, but everything has been going down at Centennial Olympic Park. I think it kicks off. I mean, we're up early, so 10 a.m. I think is when it starts. I think it's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. They got speakers, they've got music performances, spoken word. It's black. It's gonna be blackity black. It's gonna be some performances. Black. It's gonna be blackity black.
There was bring your umbrella and bring your water.
And bring the lunch.
Okay, because it's going to be hot. Bring umbrella, water, and towel.
Yeah, but if you're not in the ATL, get out there. Your community is doing something with Juneteenth. Be a part of it. If you missed it this year, be ready for that reset next year. Do something throughout the year to build up to it, and let's continue to build our communities going forward.
Hey, happy Juneteenth. Thank you guys for watching. As always, we love you and we appreciate you. We are out. Peace.